Welcome to this episode of Pottawattamie County Roots. I am Todd Studer on location, and for those of you who are well-versed in Pottawattamie County, you might be able to guess where I am, but I'm assuming that from the background, probably difficult to tell. So I'll just go ahead and tell you. I am at the park in McClelland, and it is warm, it is windy. I can hear mowers going when the wind's not too high. Ran across some folks out farming on the way out, and it is a beautiful day, even if it is a little bit on the warm side. I came out here for a reason today because I'm not sure if you're aware. Of course, the people in the circles that I run in were very aware of it because I have a radio background. So anytime that something big happens, like just happened last week, we all know about it. And this is the latest round of layoffs from iHeart Media with all of their local radio stations. This affected people in the markets that we know. It affected people in Omaha. It affected people in Des Moines. It affected people all across the country. Now, iHeart's not saying how many they laid off. One estimate put it at about 5% of their workforce, which is huge. But there's faulty thinking behind that, and it ties into what it is that I do with Les Hills Media and also with this show, Pottawattamie County Roots. I'm out here in McClelland. And the newest business model, or the most current business model when it comes to local radio, is they're not staffed by anyone local. It's all done by people in other markets, sometimes completely across the country. Occasionally, somebody close to the area will be on, but for the most part, that's not the way it is anymore. And the industry as a whole seems to have completely lost its way. Once upon a time, when I first got into radio, localism was key, and corporations have been trying to circumvent that localism by creating technology that will allow one single disc jockey to do 50 radio stations at a time and to be able to provide what they call localization for each market. And what that means is somebody, let's just pull a name out. I tell you what, let's use Grinnell, since all the Grinnell stations just recently went completely off the air. So there's nobody on the air at all in Grinnell anymore. But let's say that there was, and let's say that they were part of the network. Well, somebody in management or whoever it might be at that radio station in Grinnell would write what they wanted their jock to say, and then that is what would be read. But that jock wouldn't have any idea of what the meaning behind it actually is because they don't live there. Now, that is the problem with local media now, is they're all owned by companies and corporations that don't live where they're serving. So how could they possibly know how to best serve those areas? I used to think, and a lot of me still does, that radio is a dying industry. However, there are pockets where I'm being proven wrong with that. And there are some small market radio stations that are very, very profitable. But when you look at what it is that they're doing, they are providing a truly hyper-local service to that particular area. I've talked about them many times. The stations in Red Oak come to mind. I think the stations at Atlantic do a good job. I think KMA is still doing a pretty good job with that as well. But when you start to think that the radio signal itself is the product, you've lost, because that's not the case. What I do with this show, and the reason that I'm sitting here in McClelland right now, is to prove that localism is what people actually want. They want to see places that they've been. They want to hear about places that they've been, and they want to hear about them from someone who knows what they're talking about when it comes to that. And it is all but gone. I do think eventually they will figure it out, but I can tell you, based off of the metrics and the numbers that I see from the shows that I do, the need is still there. I have more views than we have population in Pottawattamie County, which tells me that multiple people are watching. We can tell that 90% of the views that I get are coming from inside of the market, of which this show is intended. And those are real numbers. We can track those metrics because we're doing it online. It's not part of Nielsen ratings anymore. But what is happening and has happened in the local media market, to me, is a travesty. I think that the industry can still work, but it has to return to what it once was. Now, here's the problem too, is there are so many more options for people. Once upon a time, when I first got into the industry and I was playing a music show, I was the source of the music unless people had bought albums and put their own playlist together. That's how it worked. So radio was very popular back then for folks who love to listen to music. It's not that way anymore. You have satellite radio, you have Spotify, you have Amazon Music, you have all of these different platforms where you, as a music lover, can hear exactly what it is that you want to hear. And that means not much need for the music format anymore. You think back, for folks my age, you'll remember that in the 80s and 90s, Walmarts were popping up everywhere, and they're popping up in all of these towns. If a town had anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000 people or above, Walmart was going there, and they were going to put in a store. And there was a lot of pushback saying that you're shutting down Main Street, and they did for a while, until the small shops figured out we need to do something that Walmart isn't doing. And that's when you started to see a revitalization of the small towns. Drive down Main Street of Avoca, and Avoca doesn't have a Walmart, but you know what I mean. And or any of the other communities, Main Streets are coming back in a very, very big way because they're doing something different than what Walmart does. Walmart can still sell cheaper than they can, but these shops are now starting to work, and we're seeing all of that come back again. Same applies to media. Okay, I get that there are countless other sources now for folks to be able to get their news, to be able to get their music, all of these different things. But what is it that a radio station in a local market can do that those national outlets cannot? It's the localism. It is showing up. That's the big thing. Just show up to the different events.
What if your healthcare provider came to you? Me to You is an Iowa-based in-home primary care practice, bringing personalized medical care directly to your home. Especially helpful for people who have difficulty getting out, Me to You serves patients of all ages, from children through end-of-life care, from wellness visits and chronic disease management to preventative care and advanced care planning. That means less time traveling, less time in waiting rooms, and more time where it matters most. Learn more at metouYou.care or call 641-843-8405. Primrose Retirement Community in Council Bluffs believes home should be a place of comfort, connection, and care. From personalized support to engaging daily activities, everything they do is designed to help residents live fully and confidently. At Primrose, that's their priority, to put the quality of their residents' care and daily needs at the top of their list each day and every day. It's not just about where you live, it's about how you live. Learn more about life at Primrose by going to primroseretirement.com, and then contact Jamie Bush at Primrose and discover a place that truly puts people first.
You know, many of you know that I was involved with the new radio station launch in Council Bluffs. And I'm going to get real here for a second. I've been kind of dodging this quite a bit because I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. But here's what I know, is that first year after I left, there were many, many opportunities for that radio station to show up in the community, and they didn't do it. Couple of examples. One was the first Shamrock Shuffle that happened in Council Bluffs, and they weren't there. Later on that year, it was Summerfest. Think they were there? No. They had their truck parked over at the Tim McGraw concert. I didn't understand what was going on because everybody that was there at that concert couldn't hear that radio station anyway, so I never really understood the point to it. Local media needs to be local. You're not music driven. There's no need for that anymore because music is everywhere. iHeart forgot that. All the other corporations have forgot that. iHeart's not an island unto themselves. Many corporations have done this exact same thing, and very, very talented people are out of work. And some of them, it's a brand new thing right now that they're out of work and they don't know what their next step is going to be. So if you are one of those people, take a look at what I'm doing here right now and think about that. Think about how you can still do what you used to do. It is just in a different way. I get that it's fun to sit and in a studio and play music and talk 4 or 5 times an hour for 30 to 60 seconds. I did it and I enjoyed it, but that's not where the future is anymore. So I would encourage anyone with the same type of radio skills that I have. Listen, I'm not unique when it comes to this industry. Many, many people as talented, if not more talented than me. So I would encourage you, look into this format, localize it for the area in which you live. And I mean, truly localize it. Go places. I'm sitting at a park in McClelland, Iowa. We haven't seen one person drive by yet, but that doesn't matter. What matters is I am out and about, and that's what people want to see. Sometimes, most of my shows are done inside of my studio, but it's also a local studio. You know right where it's at. So that's the key to being able to serve the communities in which you're in. It is sad to me that everyone forgot that. Listen, I get the landscape changed, and corporations want to claim that it is the listeners or the viewers or the readers that changed. No, they didn't. You just stopped giving them what it is that they always wanted. You started looking at how can we compete in this ever-changing market, and the way you decided to compete was to lay people off and to consolidate jobs. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to dive in even deeper and do even more of what was making you successful before. They just didn't see it. They thought it was the signal. They thought that, we're playing music and that's what everybody wants. Nobody wants that anymore because they all have it someplace else. I talked with somebody recently within the last couple of months, and this person worked for iHeart. I'm hopeful that she still has her job with all of this different reorganization that just happened. But she told me that the under 30 demographic was the fastest growing demographic they had. And I didn't argue with her, but it's not true, because I talked to people, and ask anyone under the age of 30 if they still listen to the radio. You'll catch a few that do, but for the most part, they don't. And her argument for why that was because when they would be out at an event someplace, large groups of 30 and under would show up. Well, it's not because of the radio station. It's because of their online presence. It is online. That is where the future is. That is where they could be making the money, but they have abandoned it. And it is sad. It's just sad to see. I've got, like I said, a lot of friends in the radio industry, and it is pretty much done. And there's something about it that gets into our blood, and we just try to stay on the air as long as possible. I mean, look at me. I'm still talking into a microphone, but I just found a better way to do it. And it's sitting in a city park or a town park in McClelland, Iowa, on a beautiful day. The humidity's up a little bit, but I don't care. It is beautiful here. And this is the type of thing that can reach people. They want to see who and where and the why behind everything of where they live. That's what local media is all about. It's what it always was about. And I can't do it by myself.
Service Master Restore by Schmader knows it can be hard to get things back to normal when you've suffered serious property damage due to flooding, fire, or smoke, and that can oftentimes lead to mold, and you may be left with all sorts of questions about how to get your home or business back to normal. It's easy. You give Cindy Schmader a call with Service Master Restore by Schmader. Her phone number, 402-339-9911. Your home for all natural health solutions in southwest Iowa is Bambi's Green Acres Natural Market. Serving the area since 1997, Bambi is located at 805 South Main Street in Council Bluffs and has a wide selection of vitamins, supplements, essential oils, herbal remedies, and a lot more. Staffed with over 37 years of experience, Bambi is putting health back in your hands. Explore your wellness options online at bambisgreenacres.com.
I was thinking earlier on the ride out here and slipping back over 100 years, think about Henry Ford. And Henry Ford being very, very innovative with his approach to how he was manufacturing automobiles, how he was selling automobiles, and seeing the changing landscape back then. Because if you would have asked the average person when Henry Ford was just getting started, before he had got the assembly line together and he's just getting going, you asked the average person what they wanted in transportation, they would have said a faster horse. That's what they wanted. But that's not, that wasn't the future, and Henry Ford saw that. So at the same time, there were other automobile manufacturers at the time. And I don't think if Ford was the only company making vehicles, making cars and trucks, I don't know that it would have the same impact and we would have seen the same demand that we did. Everybody else just kind of legitimized it. I say all that to say this. I don't care that there's others out doing what I do now. I don't care that, somebody asked me once, how do you feel about someone stealing your idea? I'm cool with it. It's fine. I can't cover everything. I can't be everywhere. So these other locations and these other counties deserve the same type of coverage. It's cool. It's fine. And I encourage that. I hope that even more and more people get out there and do this, and we start to normalize this style of media, because traditional newspapers and radio stations and even local TV stations, they can't do it anymore. They've forgotten how. They forgot what their product was, and they just abandoned it in order to try to save money on salaries. The number that I heard was iHeart eliminated $50 million in salaries. How many people do you suppose that was going to have to be in order to get there? Because I know what radio pays, not a lot. So that's a lot of people that just lost their jobs because a handful of people who think that they know don't. And I'm sad. I'm just sad for everybody that it happened to, and I'm sad for an industry that I once loved. So, having said all of that, welcome to McClelland. I am very happy to be a part of this. And by the way, yeah, you see, it happened. I've been talking about getting married, and I did that on Saturday. Thank you for all of the well wishes and the congratulations that I received and the wonderful comments. It was a beautiful wedding. And I think part of the reason, I'm going to tell the story here. I think part of the reason that it was so great was because we didn't rehearse anything. It had a very spontaneous feel because it was spontaneous. The event itself was planned. We had flowers there. We had an officiant there. Thank you, Cassie. You did a beautiful job. But the flow of it, we just kind of went with it. And it was never rehearsed ahead of time. And there was something magical about it. And then we went in and had the reception afterwards. And Dwayne's Catering was the gentleman that provided the food. Oh, man, can't recommend him highly enough. And he doesn't sponsor my show, so this is completely just me singing him some praises. Everybody was talking about it. And then a friend of mine, it was a friend's friend that made pie. We wanted pie instead of cake. And her name is Nicole, and Nicole just killed it. They were perfect. There was a swarm to that pie table, and everybody all across the room is, have you tried this one? Have you tried this one? This is so good. This is so good. And that was all because a couple of friends were talking, and he said, hey, I know somebody that I think could help you with that. She doesn't do it professionally, and she does now because I think I was her first paying gig. But man, what a wonderful event, and everything top to bottom just went perfectly. So grateful from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Rachel, for doing a great job of Venividi events, from planning everything and keeping us on the straight and narrow, even when the stress started to get the better of us. You kept your head, and everything just went off without a hitch. So it was quite an event. And also, I'll tell you the last part of that story. We stayed in a hotel Saturday night, and went and when we checked into the room, it was pretty warm in the room, and we thought, okay, well, let's just set the air conditioner down a little bit, and we'll go have a drink and get things cooled off, and then go back. So we went down to the bar, and by the way, this is a pretty nice hotel, and had a drink. Decided to have a second one. We were there about an hour and a half, or maybe a little less. And when we went back up to the room, the temperature was even higher than it was before because the air conditioner wasn't working. So we called down to the front desk, and they say they're at 100% occupancy. There's nothing they can do. Well, we'd been at the bar for an hour and a half. We can't go anywhere. So we just decided, you know what, this is what it is. And I remember telling Diane about something my friend Rick said to me a long time ago. He said he tends to make decisions based on what's going to tell the best story later. And now we can look back and think about the very, very warm room that we stayed in the night of the wedding, and have that to talk about. And in the end, it really wasn't that bad. And it just kind of was a beautiful night all the way around. So thanks to everybody involved with what went down Saturday night. And again, thanks to you for all of the wonderful comments that I've received since then. So local media needs to be local, needs to be run by people who live in the areas of which they're trying to serve. And those people need to truly serve the community. That is what sponsors respond to. That is what listeners/viewers respond to. It is being out and about, just like I am right now. Not talking to anybody in particular, but you know that I am from Pottawattamie County because I'm in Pottawattamie County, and that is what makes all of this work. That's going to wrap things up for today. Speaking of somebody in Pottawattamie County, Brewed Awakening in Avoca, one of our hometown sponsors, I encourage you to stop in, see Bella, get a great cup of coffee, maybe even a sandwich. Her menu varies throughout the days, so who knows what she may have on this particular day, but I have a feeling it's going to be really, really good. So thanks to Brewed Awakening for being one of our hometown sponsors. That wraps up today's show. Thanks for being a part of it. My name is Todd Studer. We'll see you next time.